ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Rise Every Nation. Your host, Terrell Simmons, in the building today. And I got the one, the only, Ayanna in the building, Lott-Pollard, executive director of Resilient Coders, a nonprofit organization that empowers BIPOC youth for low-income communities. And I can't wait to have this conversation with you because I have a feeling we're going to get into all things tech and how this can empower our communities. But good morning. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be here. It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise, I feel like I'm meeting my sister from another mister. Where are you joining us from? I
am in Philadelphia.
Okay,
Philly, PA. Philly, right. Penn. Yes. All right.
Yeah, I apologize about them Eagles, but y'all made a good run.
Yeah, we did. You brought that up. I was feeling good. I just got over it and you bring it up again and now I'm triggered. Triggered.
Y'all got a lot to be happy about. Y'all got a good team. I think y'all gonna get there next year and it's gonna be off to the races. So we'll be happy about that.
Okay.
All right.
It was. They did look good on the world stage. So that's an encouragement.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to trigger you. I'm gonna give you a virtual hug. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right.
Thank you.
All right. And so tell me, before we get into this, I got this lovely painting that's behind you.
Mm-hmm.
This is beautiful. What is this?
So it's a picture I bought. I'll let you see a little bit more, but I loved it when I saw it too. I can't remember the name of it or the artist. That's horrible. But when I saw it, I gasped. It reminds me of like the ancestors. You know, I always feel like I have my ancestors, my family behind me. You see the image in the colors. So yeah, I got to do better at remembering who the artist is. But when I went in the store and saw it, I was like, I have to have this. I love it.
Right. So some of y'all, if y'all listen to the audio experience, I encourage you to go back to the video experience so you can see this lovely picture that's behind us. It just drew me in, and I had to ask.
It's beautiful. I love it too.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you who it is so you can put it in your house too.
Thank you. So I know I gave a very brief synopsis of who Anaya is, but for the people who don't know who Anaya is, who is Ayanna Lott-Pollard? And I know that's a deep question, and you could take that as far as wide as you want to go, but who is Anaya?
So, since we are going to take it as far as and deep as I possibly can, Ayanna is, I'm a daughter of Jack and Gladys. Born and raised in West Philly. You know, you got to say the neighborhood if you're from Philly. I am a big sister to three siblings. I'm an auntie. Family is first for me. I am a child of God. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. I'm an executive. I'm a leader. I'm a coach. I'm a community caretaker. Yeah, that's who I am.
Ayanna, that is all beautiful. And I love, because most people, when we think about this, we tend to go first to the job, right? Or some people do. But I love that you are all these beautiful things before we even get to the career aspect, right? And that really encompasses a lot of different beautiful things and how you show up in the world and how we receive you in the world. So thank you for sharing that with us.
I did forget I'm a wife. Please don't let my husband hear this. I am a wife. I am a wife, not a good one right now, but I'm a wife too. I said it so eloquently, and I'm like, oh, Gregory, don't listen.
I'm sure he forgives you. And he knows that you out here repping for him whenever it's needed.
Yes, that's what I do. I rep for my husband.
Oh man! Now, I want to learn about Resilient Coders and how you came up with this name and this beautiful thing you created. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So I'm not the creator. I'm not the founder. I am the second ED. Our founder, David Delmar Cintias, he came up with Resilient Coders because he was in tech. And so as a Latinx brother, he was working for PayPal at the time and looking around and not seeing anyone in the room who looked like him or any community of color. And so he founded Resilient to teach high school students. And then he figured, like, wow, this is a skill that we learn rather quickly. Like, it's not that Black and brown folks can't learn how to code. It's just, it's not accessible. And so he started to develop Resilient Coders. It's changed a couple of times, but the basic premise is that we teach people and train people from BIPOC communities for high growth careers as software engineer, and then we connect them with jobs. The whole thing is equity and access to the economy, you know? Our mission is we believe in social justice through economic empowerment. And so when I started a couple of years ago as the chief of staff, before coming to Resilient, I was unemployed. So I've worked in different industries. Business is my thing. I'm not a tech practitioner. So when you talk about like the way a career can go, mine, I'm business. And so I came as the chief of staff, director of operations, and I looked around and I'm like, wait a minute, we're providing an opportunity for these young adults from 18 to 30 years old, and we're changing the economic landscape for an entire generation. So that was how I bought in. And resilient, the word resilient is just what we have to be. It's what we've been as people, whether you're Black or brown or Asian. We've been resilient in this place we called America. So that's the history of the name.
Yeah, I want to say not only have we been resilient, but I'm leaning into that a little bit more because I was privileged to be on a panel with women executives probably like towards the middle of last year, and all these amazing, powerful women executives. I learned that the resiliency that women, especially women of color, need to have in going through their career is a whole nother ball game from that as a Black male. And I've learned to sit in my privilege to understand what that is like, you know. And now that I'm with you, I'm like, man, this is a woman of color who's an executive in a predominantly white male industry. Like, what type of resilience does it take to navigate as you in the world? And how did you tap into that to get to where you're at today?
It's interesting you asked that question, and it's in how I answer, who am I? It starts with family. It starts with, you know, how I was raised. My parents raised me to know who I am. I was raised by a father who hung a map of Africa on the wall as a child. and you know, like, we had a map of Africa, and I thought that I was going to be a newscaster because I used to tell my sisters to sit on the bed and I would look at the map of Africa and pretend I was doing the weather. And just being raised with Africa in front of me, seeing queens, knowing that I came from kings and queens, learning who Imhotep was as a child, learning who Nefertiti and Mansa Musa, and you know, all of the greats from the motherland, and understanding as a child, like, this is who you come from, this is who you are. And you know, my parents were very emphatic about me knowing the meaning of my name. Beautiful flower. You were named, you know, it's a West African name. We're from West Philly. We're not from Africa. Like, I can't say I'm Nigerian like you can, or I can't say, you know, no, we are from West Philly. But I had parents who knew that community was important and that I had a village, the people to pour into me. So when you come into those spaces, and I'm not saying that I haven't faltered or I haven't had identity issues and low self-esteem in some places, but I've always been able to go home to my community where they would build me back up, you know, or empower me and say, go back out there. You have a purpose. This is who you are. You were born to lead. You were born to do this. It makes the difference. It's a competitive advantage for me when I can, you know, go home and know that, you know, no matter how beat up I am, my family is going to pour back into me and say, "Oh, girl, no, don't believe that." And it's not just my family; it's the community that I've been able to surround myself with, to continue to pour,
Mm-hmm.
say, "You got this, girl. Go get it."
Yeah, I love that. This is the first time I think I've heard somebody that I spoke to speak so eloquently, like in reference to the surroundings of having that meaning brought into their name, the African culture as a Black American or African American, because as you know, I grew up in a Nigerian culture, but I'm born here in America, right? And so that was installed to me from my Nigerian dad, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's you know, there's something important about that, right? Because most of our history in school is taught. We Black history sometimes is taught first to us from a
Yes.
slavery standpoint of view, and
Mm-hmm.
not the kings and queens we were before that, right?
Yes.
And all the meaning and all the great things that we created before that, and that could raise your level of resiliency and consciousness knowing that, right? And I see
Yes.
how that's been embraced in your family, embedded into you. So I love that you mentioned that. I'm curious to know, as you continue to grow as an individual, how are you currently growing personally?
How am I currently growing? I have, I think working in the industry of workforce development it
Mm-hmm.
has helped me to continue to grow. I get to work with young adults who are 18 to 30. And so
Mm-hmm.
prior to coming, I was kind of in the middle. I was kind of, I had folks on my team who were younger, and then I had folks who reported to me who were older, and then there were, a lot of different generations. And so
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm sitting in this seat and I get to work with young adults who are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell, when I say these young adults are brilliant, their parents did an excellent job raising them. I find that they keep me on my toes. They keep me relevant. They help me to reach for more. I see how quickly they learn skills, and it's empowered me to say, "Hey, you've been lazy in this space for a minute. It's time to go back. Go take a class in this. Learn how to do
Mm-hmm.
this. Surround yourself, immerse yourself in learning. Always be a student." And
Mm-hmm.
so, working in this industry has helped me with that, as well as me just being naturally curious. I love to learn. I keep a coach. I see you're
Okay.
an executive coach. I keep a coach, somebody to help me to stay focused on the goals and the things that I set out to do. I have a therapist too because I need one.
Yes.
You got to have a therapist these
Gotta have a
days,
therapist,
just
especially
to
if you Black in
process things.
America. You gotta have a therapist. You
You
gotta.
gotta
It's just
talk to somebody. You
yeah.
gotta talk to somebody. And I surround myself with senior citizens. They're my best friends. My best friends are senior citizens who've walked the walk. They're retired executives. They're retired pastors.
Mm-hmm.
They're retired folks from law enforcement, and they're my best friends. So
Yeah.
just keeping myself surrounded by around their wisdom helps me stay grounded and
Yeah.
keeps me focused.
I love that. I love that. Um, I want to go back to something that you were talking about with the young folks working in workforce development, um, about what you said around strengths. And I know something that I ran up against in workforce development sometimes with helping young adults grow is that sometimes they had a hard time understanding what their personal strengths are. If
Mm-hmm.
someone doesn't know their personal strengths, what's some next steps that they can take?
I love I work as a coach to emerging leaders.
Hmm.
And one of the things I love to do, and some people are anti assessment,
Okay.
but I love to share certain assessments. You don't want to, not too many, but there
Hmm.
are times when I was, younger and I needed to understand like my wiring. And,
Hmm.
having someone share an assessment with me and say, okay, according to this DISC assessment or Myers-Briggs, or it could be a Strength Finders, like there's so many out there, but it began to uncover layers of the first assessment I took, and I'll just say this was like a DISC assessment. And so when I looked at DISC, and DISC, for those who are like, what is she talking about, DISC? DISC is just an assessment that allows you to see like your wiring. Are you dominant? Are you influential? And then steady or conscientious. It just tells you like your wiring based on how you understand things, how you interact with people. And so when I looked at that and saw that mine was dominant, which means that I'm more outspoken, I'm more of a leader, I'm a results oriented person. And so growing up, I thought that a lot of those traits were negative because I was around different people. And so, people would say, oh, you're so bossy, or you're so this, or oh God, here she comes again. Here comes Miss Loudmouth or Miss Opinionated. But when I got to see, like, wait, this is how I'm wired. I'm wired to be results oriented. I'm wired to be outspoken. I'm wired to be a person who is the one that's going to say, okay, we're going to get to the end by any means necessary. And at the same time, I've learned as a leader that I've had to flex in and out of my personality type because everybody's not like me. So I need to learn how to ask questions of folks who may be a little more soft spoken, who may think like, oh, Ayanna's just going to run over me. But to be, to flex my personality so that I know how to engage folks from different backgrounds in different ways. So for the younger generation, especially those who are stepping into leadership, it's so important that, you may not want to do an assessment, or you may not, there are different ways you can find out, but learn who you are, know who you are, know how you're wired, so you don't have to go through life apologizing or minimizing or maximizing, overcompensating in some spaces. Know who you are so you can flow in your gifting.
Yeah, I love that. I've taken all of those, and I think that's how I got my start too. And here's the thing: I love it because it gives you a good starting point too on where you're at, what, and then takes what resonates and what you know to be true to you when you go through these assessments. It's not the end all be all, but it gives you a good starting reference point of how you're wired, as you said. And funny enough, I was just working with one of my bosses who's a D, and I'm an I. So
okay, I can see that.
So let me break this down for people. So I'm an I, so I tend to be more open and place an emphasis on relationships and influencing or persuading others. And so I had to work with my boss, who's a D, who tends to be more confident and place emphasis on accomplishing bottom line results. And we were working together, and I was teaching them what they needed to do to influence people to get to those bottom line results, because people are not just hardwired. Like they got family, they got emotions, they got feelings, they got things that influence them to action. And if we don't tackle those things, we won't be able to get the bottom line results, no matter what you do.
And I think, with your personality, you're able to make it fun. Let's get to the goal, let's get the result, but we can laugh, we can have fun, we can, be conversational around it. It doesn't have to be like so serious and so strict, like we have to get to the goal. But no, let's have fun in the process. So you bring the fun.
Yeah. And I think there's another thing too, that we're riffing on this just a little bit, is like, because I have one leader who's a D, and they're so like, boom, 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 go, go, go. They don't care about people's personalities, feelings, fun, none of that. Boom, here's the goal, right? And what you start to see in this group that they were leading is that, okay, we went through so much turnover to get to that goal. We got to that goal, but we lost half of the staff. We spent all this money. Like, could we still get to the goal? But like, keep staff, some good staff, and not spend as much money in that turnover.
Yeah, because you have to flex. A D person, a person who has a dominant personality has to learn how to become as there's a scripture that says you have to become all things to all people. And in leadership, you have to learn that, okay, if I'm talking to Terrell, I know he wants to tell stories. He's going to, like this isn't going to be a 15-minute meeting. And if it is a 15-minute meeting, 12 of those minutes are going to be relational. And then in the last 3 minutes, he's going to say, okay, boom, boom, boom. This is what you need. Okay. And we're good. But then when you're talking to a person who's more conscientious or more, based on facts and figures, it's a different way you deal with that person. And then someone who's more, steady and laid back and more thoughtful, you have to give them time to think. You have to give them time to process. So you have to become like the people that you're around in order to accomplish the bigger goal. If not, you'll run over folks. And at the end, it's like, wow, we got to go. Yeah, but it's just you. Everybody else quit. They couldn't take it anymore.
Look at, see, y'all don't know. Ayanna's just giving y'all $1 million worth of game right now.
You gotta switch it up.
You gotta switch it up. You gotta be able to flex that muscle every now and then, and that's where all these coaches and this wisdom come into good practice and good habits, so that you can be able to do that in a healthy way. Now, I want to ask you about what do you do in your routine for like encouragement? Like like say if somebody's feeling stuck, right? And I have a feeling you've probably been through this, or you have people in your population that feel stuck. What are like some words of encouragement that you would share with someone who's feeling stuck?
Yes, I can identify with a person who, like you said, feels stuck. There have been times that I felt stuck myself in my career, in my life on a personal level. It's just like, hey, the things that I want to see come to fruition haven't. I feel stuck in a job that's a dead end. I have responsibilities. I'm trying to apply to other jobs, but nothing is breaking right now. And um, to the person who feels stuck, um, I challenge you to look at it a different way. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. You're you're in a space and place right now where you have an opportunity to add additional skills to your uh, to your resume. You may not be moving the way you want to, but you're moving. You may not be moving as fast as you want to, but you are. You're still in position. So in this place and space, what can you add to your artillery? What skills can you add? Um, do you want to become a coach? Do you want to be something in social media? What is the dream that you have that you haven't paid attention to? You're not stuck. It's not that you aren't moving, and I'm repeating myself. It's just that you're not moving as quickly as you want to, and so it's a space and time that you have an opportunity to reevaluate. Take inventory on, like, what do you do? What do you have? What are you doing? What's around you? And look at that. But for those who feel that you're stuck, just take a moment and pause and reflect.
Yeah, reflect. Yeah, speaking of taking inventory and reflection, do you reflect on past experiences, and if so, how often, and what's the benefit of it?
I think it's a natural thing for me, to reflect and to think about, because my path hasn't been linear. It's I've gone in different courses. I thought that I would be Oprah. I thought that I would be a broadcaster. I wanted to be a talk show host. So I
You
majored
look
in.
like Oprah to me. You over here, you doing your
Thank
Oprah right
you.
now, girlfriend. Shoot, let me
Thank
tell you.
you. Thank you. But Oprah is my imaginary auntie. Um, Yeah, I thought that I wanted to be mean because I saw her. And it was my first time seeing a beautiful woman on television that looked like, she could be in my family. And perhaps she wasn't the first, but she was the first who resonated with me. So I wanted to be like her. And I went to school for, broadcast journalism, and I graduated, and the income when I came out was like, wait a minute, Oprah's a millionaire. Y'all telling me I'm gonna get paid $19,500 to be in broadcasting. How do I get, like, wait, this money is not matching. I got bills. I have student loans. So, and then when I started to do like production, it was just a very different industry than I thought it would be. Yeah. And so I didn't do this. I said, okay, I want to work as a spokesperson to a president. I want to be a White House spokesperson. And yeah. I went and I worked in the White House, and it was like, wait, this is a lot of work. These people don't go to sleep, and I'm not really good at spin. You can tell when I'm spinning. You can tell when my face will tell on me when I need to say something and I need to spin it, and I'll just leave it at that. And then so I haven't had a linear path to through my career, and so I often reflect on what I've learned. I often reflect on lessons, because I've had a lot of lessons and experience, and now I get to teach some of those lessons. I get to share them transparently with the people that I get to lead and get to serve and partner with. So it's a constant reflection. It's a reflection on, you must remember, think about how you're going to handle this situation, because remember how you've handled situations in the past. You were successful in this space. You weren't so successful in this space. So it's a constant reflection of who I was, who I am, and also dreaming about who I want to be as I matriculate through life in my career.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Knowing what you know now, what are 3 things that you think you should do differently in your current position, and why?
Oh Lord, you want me to tell my business? So the first one I'll go to is in leadership, like just how you lead people. When I first started out in leadership, it was pretty much Ayanna's way or the highway. And I got the nickname from my HR team at that time, and this was about 10 years ago, y'all, just in case you want to know.
Don't at her. Don't come at her. She has grown since then.
I've grown. I've grown. I've evolved. So this was a while ago. It was more than 10 years ago, but it was pretty much like, it was like Ayanna's way or the highway. Like, okay, this is how we do it on this team. If you don't like it, okay, well then bye. And so as I stated, they started calling me the Terminator, because I knew like this is an at-will state. Like, okay, all right, man. I'm gonna write you up, and bye-bye. And so I've learned that no, you have to have a process. You can't just terminate folks, but you have to give people a chance. Someone gave me a chance, and so one, I've learned how to just develop leadership skills and how to provide feedback, how to deal with people, how to bring empathy to my work, and just do unto others as I would want them to do unto me. Just something simple, simple as that. So that would be the first one, is just just being a better leader. Leadership skills. If you just invest in your leadership skills, it will go a long way. And I've done a lot of work to invest in leadership skills. And the second one, I would say, be resilient. If we're going to talk about resilience, the organization I work with, be resilient. Don't give up. Don't let what folks say about you define you. Be resilient.
Yes.
Don't be defined by the opinions of folks around you, because sometimes it could be true, but it doesn't have to always stay true. It doesn't have to stay true. And we have the capacity to change and to grow and to evolve. So be resilient. If there's something that you're going after, sometimes people can see the gift in you before you can see it in yourself.
Yes.
And so go after it. Go after it. Listen, find folks that you can trust to tell you the truth. We all need truth tellers in our lives. We don't want,
Ayanna, something tells me you a truth teller.
I am a truth teller. But I also have truth tellers, and my first two truth tellers were my parents. Like, they were the kind of parents that would tell you, like, no, you're not good at that, or no, that's horrible. That doesn't sound right. So you have to have truth tellers in your life, but still be resilient. Like, go after what you see. Go after it.
I want to lean into. I'm curious to know, because I know how you started off the show with the different identities that you come to the spot with. And you talked a little bit about values throughout this podcast. What do you consider one of your top values as a leader?
My top value as a leader, that's a good question. My top value as a leader is take care of people. If you take care of the people will take care of the mission. They will take care of the vision. They will take care of the values, but take care of your people. Find out who they are. Find out learn. I like to learn about my team. I'm a relator. I like to relate to them. And I like, big picture and bullet points and all of that, but I also want to know who I'm working with. Who am I working side by side with? I want to know who you are. And I believe that to my core. If you take care of people, the people will take care of the mission. And there's always an anomaly. There's an anomaly. You'll have someone on your team who's rotten. You can do everything you can do for them, and they're just going to, they may not perform, or they may not appreciate the level of care that you provide as a leader. That's cool. That's okay. That happens. But to stay who I am at my core, I have to take care of people, and that's how I manage. I've been through it as a leader, but I'm okay with it, because I know that that's how I have to operate in order for me to sleep well at night.
I love that. What are you most nervous about in the future, and how can you prepare for it?
Most nervous about? Well, if you turn on the television, if you watch
don't get me started
CNN,
with the television. I gotta turn it off sometimes, because
you have to preserve your mental health. Like, good Lord. And if I think I heard you talk about. No, it was on one of the interviews you did with someone else, and they were talking about how they don't engage with a lot of external news because they have to vibrate high. He was talking about, like, just maintaining his own mental health. But what am I think about, like, the economy in tech right now, just to I think about, like, just the downturn of the economy and how it's impacting our how it impacts our communities. And I don't want to assume that everybody listening is from a BIPOC community, but their communities are impacted too. That's why a lot of our white brothers and sisters, we saw them on January 6th climbing the Capitol like Spider-Man. They're nervous too about, like, the economy and where our country is going, and if our children will be able to go to school and be safe, and if our children who graduate from college will be able to have jobs. And so I think about all those things as an executive. I think about those things in terms of my family and those who are in school, and the way I prepare for it. One, I just understand and know the power of prayer, so that positions me to be an agent of change. It positions me to be an agent for solutions. And the other way is to just be a strategic thinker and to always be thinking about, like, as I believe Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. So as things happen, okay, this is where we are now. How can we pivot? How can we change? How can we go in a different direction so that we are always at the forefront and not at the tail?
Yeah, because I mean, we're there at the forefront right now with where we're at in society when it comes to technology. And then, it's funny. I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day about this. Like, some people were talking about how, technology is ruining jobs, taking over jobs. This chat GPT is going to make
Yeah.
people not have jobs. I was like, okay, well, think of how many more new jobs are going to be created from that, and how many new opportunities. The goal is not to fight the advancement; it's to, how do you position yourself to be a part
Yes.
of the advancement, and so you're not left behind, right? So you're not the dinosaur, which goes back to your statement from earlier of always be a student and always be learning, always be growing, so that you can always show up and add value somewhere, no matter what technology does. I don't know if you had those
Yeah.
conversations in your circles.
Oh God, yes. But let me, I'll just say it this way. Like, what do you think the number one job for a Black woman is today?
I was looking at some studies around entrepreneurship, and it seems like a lot of Black women are leaning towards entrepreneurship um in the ecom space. So I'm not sure if that's it, but that's going to be my guess.
So that's growing as a result of the pandemic. We have had a lot of us start to think about, but the number one job for a young woman 18 to 30 is retail.
Really?
Retail. Being, working in retail. The number one job for a Black man in America right now is public. Well, I won't say public, but it's transportation. Driving a truck, driving a bus, driving a train. Terrell, these jobs will be automated, and we can see a lot of them have been automated. You go to Walmart, we check ourselves out. We don't
Yeah.
necessarily need someone to check us out anymore. We check ourselves out. In Philadelphia, we have to bring our own bags. It's like you go to the grocery store, they're doing us a favor by putting the stuff on the shelf. Pretty soon we'll be reaching in boxes and grabbing stuff and putting it on the shelf. We think about Tesla. Tesla's now looking at developing trucks that are automated from one state to another and creating those private highways so that you don't even need a truck driver. And so, as folks from BIPOC communities, we can't afford to think about, Chat GPT is taking my job. No, 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 no. It's creating a job, because the technology has to be programmed. The technology has to be, you need a software engineer that's going to put these program the things for these environmentally sound vehicles that go up the highway. You're always going to need software engineers. You're always going to need folks to work the tech. So, the fact that we're seeing STEM more in schools in Black and brown communities and watching it grow, that's great. And so if we can see ourselves and not just working in industry, but also investing in the industry, we want to be on the front end of that. We don't want to be in a space or a job that's going to be obsolete because of automation.
Yeah. Another thing I'll add to that too is, there's this Netflix special called, I think it's called Decoded, or something. It talks about coded bias and how we need more people of color in the tech space, because there's certain technologies, like say for example, my light keeps dimming in and out, like where the technology is coded by mostly Europeans, and which
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to. They have a bias in how they code in the detection of melanated skin, and that's
Yeah.
why we need
Yeah.
more, you know, people in of us in tech to help
Yes.
solve those problems and those solutions and bring solutions to
Yeah.
those things.
I agree 100%. There's a study that her name is Stephanie. I can't think of Stephanie's last name, but I just read it not too long ago. She did. It's called Jim Code. It's called not Jim Crow, Jim Code, and she talks about
Mm,
that. She talks about why can't Stephanie's last name so you can look it up. But anyway, um, Jim Code. There was a hotel that opened, and they were it was like why the when the black people went in the bathroom the sinks didn't work, and it was because they didn't code it to, like you said, to melanated skin. That's an
mm,
issue. We need to be around that table. If there was someone who had more melanated skin around that table, they would have been able to bring a solution to say, wait, let's take the scale from here to here, not just
mm,
to here.
mm,
For these, we have the genius and the ability to be change agents in these spaces.
mm. Yeah, and I think it not only benefits us, it benefits all of society because we're not the only ones with melanated skin. So,
That's right. And across the world, we're
yeah,
not the only ones. We are the solution.
yeah. Um, I want to go. So as I told you earlier, I used to go speak around to schools and so forth, and I like to have a couple of segments that speak to, somebody, especially a young person who hears your story and gets inspired by you, gets enamored by you, as I know they will. And I want to go through quickly your journey. And I like to start at the beginning with your first job. And here's the reason why I like to start, because sometimes students coming straight out of college, I used to hear this all the time. I don't know if you ever heard this. Oh, I just graduated. I need that 6-figure job because I was like, yeah, but you haven't done anything. You ain't got no,
Yes.
you haven't done anything. Besides your degree, you haven't done anything. And all those
Yes.
people you try to aspire to be like, they didn't start there. I promise you. So, uh, I'll had to ask you, what was your first job?
That is so funny. Yes. My first job, and I'm going to go way back. So the first thing I got paid for, I used to walk my neighbor's son home from kindergarten. I got $5 a week.
Uh-huh.
And then in high school, I worked as a cashier at a pharmacy in my neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And pretty soon I learned how to become a pharmacy tech, and they just let me count pills and put them in a bottle.
Uh-huh.
But when I graduated from college, as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to be in broadcasting, and the jobs were in smaller markets, and they were like $9.50 an hour. And I remember saying to my father, and my like to my family, like, okay, there's a job in Yuma, Arizona as a production assistant, and it's $9.50 an hour. And my dad was like, what? You went to college to make $9.50 an hour? You could have worked for the city. The city is paying more than that. My dad worked for the city. He retired from the city. He was like, no, you need to figure it out. And my grandma was trying to figure out how she could help me out. But my family was just befuddled. Like, you went to college and you don't your salary, why is your salary so low? And
Uh-huh.
so that wasn't I didn't do broadcasting. I didn't become a production assistant. I started in advertising,
Okay.
and I worked for a black owned advertising agency here in Philadelphia, and that was my salary, 19,500. It was $9.27 or something if you break down and do the math. It wasn't a
Yeah.
lot, and I just had to like work my way through. I went from there to another organization, and at some point I said, I really advertising just exposed me to everything. It gave me a
Yeah.
great foundation of understanding different clients in different industries. And as a result, I've been able to weave in and out different industries throughout my career because I have a great foundation of understanding people, understanding strategy, understanding how an organization works, And eventually I went to school to get my master's in business because I was like, I really love
Yes.
operations. I want to be able to do everything. I want to be able to understand human resources. I want to be able to understand financials and be able to read those financials and break them down. I want to be able to build forecasts and know like how an organization should look or what we should be doing in 3 to 5 years. And I just want to, I just wanted to open my brain a little more. And doing that really helped me. So it's been a non-linear journey. I've worked in different industries, healthcare, wellness. I've done a lot of different things. I've worked in nonprofit, American Cancer Society, Salvation Army, leadership positions there. And for the folks who think that your career, like if you say you start out here and it's a little different, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to say, oh, I started out as dreaming of being a broadcast journalist, and now I'm an executive director for a tech company. It's okay for that to happen.
Yeah, and look at her now, ladies and gentlemen.
And all the lessons along the way, you just put them in your pocket and you just use it as ammunition and fuel.
So give me the steps. When you think about where you're at today, what would you say were the most important steps to getting you to where you're at in your career and business today? Like if you had to, let's say you could do as many steps you like, but what were the most important steps do you think that helped you get here?
The most important step, I'll begin with the most important step, was for me to believe in myself. I had to, and I always say we, but I'll impute it to just me. I had to believe in myself because there have been times when I was waiting for my counterparts or my bosses to see the value in me that I should have seen in myself. And so I had to believe in myself that one, I could be a leader, one, I could step up to the plate, another, I have what it takes to lead. And, there's so much talk now about imposter syndrome and people feeling like, this imposter. But at some point you have to just say, you know what, I got it, I can do it. And just step up to the plate and go for it. Yeah. So I think the most important thing for me was to just go for it. And other steps were, of course, education, just making sure, because the worst thing you can do, Terrell, is just like, yes, I can go for it. And then it's like, okay, you got it. Now, where's your skills? Where's your skill set? Like, do you have the skill set you got to have both. Your skill set has to match your gumption. So make sure you have some skills. And so I constantly, stay immersed in learning and curiosity and adding more and more to my repertoire as a person, and, just learning as much as I can. And for the things that I don't know, another step is I surround myself with people who are smarter than me. I get to work with people who are brilliant. I don't need to know everything around the table, but if I have you as my teammate and you know it, we know it. The team is better because of the strength of the knowledge and the people around the table. So I don't need to know everything. Like, if you can do this, we can do it. Okay, I'm not really good at that, but let me call in Stephanie. Stephanie knows what to do about this. Let me call in this person over here. They know what to do. So that's another step, is just surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you and who embody their own brilliance.
Yeah, surround yourself with the right people too. Nobody succeeds alone. No matter what you see and what people say in their success, nobody succeeds alone. There's somebody that's been in that person's corner as a cheerleader, as a guide, as a coach, as a mentor. Somebody.
Yes. Or just somebody that you could see could do it. Like, I don't know Oprah yet, but I got to see her, like, just to be able to see her, just to be able to see these folks in these spaces said to me, like, okay, I can do it too.
But Oprah, if you're listening, if Gail,
Please,
if you're
Oprah,
listening,
listen.
you know,
Yes.
please, have conversations with one of my favorite things now, Ayanna, and the work that she's doing.
Yes.
All right. I also want to get your take on this too, because sometimes there's people who hit me up that are in that transition of career or self discovery
Mm-hmm.
or professional development, and they stayed at this dead end job for way too long. They was waiting for the boss to give them the accolades and promotion. They didn't get it. They didn't get that reassurance, and so now they're on the brink of, you know, I want to do something different for myself, and I want to make this transition.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna hear your story, and they're gonna be inspired by it. What advice would you give to somebody like that?
Find a mentor. You have a skill set. Even if in your last job it wasn't acknowledged by uh and man, we that's a whole nother podcast, to you know, just not being acknowledged by the team and knowing, they know you're a rock star. They knew you were a rock star, but just not having that adulation sometimes can be frustrating. But as you change industries and you change the course, find somebody who will be in your corner to say, okay, somebody that you can trust and listen to. Because sometimes people, you can tell them, or it may be their method, but find somebody that you can listen to and glean from to pour into you as you're making and navigating. Let them look at your resume and say, okay, you were doing this job, but you have a skill set and these skills are transferable. So look, like what you did over here in this industry, you can do in any industry. This over here, yes, okay, you answered the phone. Okay, you were customer relation, to help you break down and understand the power of what you do have, so that you're looking at yourself through clear eyes with a clear vision to say, hey, I do have these skills. I have a skill set and I can take that skill set across any industry. And when you have that person that's already working in that industry, they can plug you right on in to the next opportunity for you.
And you heard it first from Ayanna, the queen of all industries. um, what do you think the future has in store for your industry specifically? Because I know we talked a little bit about the future, about tech. There's a future of tech, but what do you see when you look at the future, especially when it looking like for people like us, melanated skin, popping and glowing? What does the future look like for people like us in this industry?
I think it's beautiful and bright. As we continue to have people like you who share opportunities and open doors for people like me to talk about who we are and what we do. We're just continuing to flip light switches open for the next generation. And there's some 8-year-old boy sitting in the back of his mom's car right now listening to this, and he's saying, coding. And he's starting to play on his computer and download a coding game, and he's going to create some kind of technology that's going to change the world. The future for our people and in this generation in technology and in business is beautiful and bright because we're leading the way.
Love it, love it. Now, this is going to be the perfect segue to end this off. I love to do the Joe Rogan type podcast, but I know me, you could talk for hours, but I don't know if people are going to listen to us for 3 hours to talk.
I'm going to take a nap. If we can take naps, I could do 3 hours. We need a group nap. Okay, guys, we're going to take a group nap for 10 minutes. Okay, we'll be back.
You speaking about language right now. I got introduced to naps towards the end of last year. Then somebody introduced me to nap ministry.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm in the naps now. So don't tempt me with a good time.
26 minutes. 26-minute nap.
So what projects are you currently working on, and where can people find you?
I am currently working to build and develop this organization, Resilient Coders. Our website is resilientcoders.org. You could learn more about that. You can also find me at Ayanna L-Pollard on Instagram, Ayanna Lott-Pollard on LinkedIn. And you can also find me on Twitter, although I kind of don't go to my Twitter. My Twitter is horrible. Don't go there.
Don't go there. It's a hot mess. Go follow
Don't
her anywhere
yeah,
else.
it's a yes. I'm working on my Twitter, but you can go to Resilient Coders at Resilient Coders on Twitter.
Awesome. So thank you for stopping by. Any last words of wisdom for the people before we sign off today?
No, I don't have any words of wisdom, but I do want to say thank you to you for just creating this platform for people to come on and talk about their lives, their goals, and doing it so effortlessly and with so much fun and brilliance. So I want to thank you and lift you up, King, and just tell you what you mean to our community, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I received that, and I am honored just to be in the grace of just amazing people and all ancestors that are behind us, that have paved the way
Yes.
for us. We are here because of them. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams, and I want to highlight this history in the making. So thank you as well. That is it for our show today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put all the show notes to how you can connect with our sis and get involved, support, reach out, whatever it is that you would like to do. And let's keep holding each other up, lifting each other up. And I'll catch you all on the next time.